You know how sometimes you hear about a forest fire that happened way out in the middle of nowhere, and you think, well, that's not going to affect me? Well, did you know that haze pollution from these fires can actually impact your health and environment? It's an issue that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's pretty important. Today we're going to chat about the haze that comes from Indonesia. This isn't just any old smog. This is toxic haze, mostly from forest fires. You might be surprised to know that these fires are usually caused by people. The bad guys? They're those who illegally clear land for farming by burning it. These fires aren't just a local issue, they're a problem for everyone. Every year they pump out loads of smoke and pollutants, like carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxides, into the air. This is not just a tiny puff of smoke, it's a massive cloud of pollutants that can spread across the region, impacting not only Indonesia but also nearby places like Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand. What's sparking these fires? Mostly it's the production of palm oil. It's a crop that's used in a lot of things, from food to beauty products, so it's a big moneymaker. But guess what? The environmental cost of this liquid gold is through the roof. These fires aren't just creating haze pollution, they're causing major deforestation in one of the most diverse places on the planet. So why should we care about a fire in a forest thousands of miles away? Because these fires aren't just burning trees. They're wiping out homes for endangered species like orangutans and Sumatran tigers. They're messing up air travel and economies, and they're causing serious health problems for millions of people, like respiratory issues and eye irritation. Basically, these fires are burning our health, our economy, and our environment. So let's get into this. Let's uncover the smoky truth about this environmental issue and shine a light on its causes, effects, and solutions. So, what sparks these fires that blanket the region in a suffocating haze? Well, the primary culprit is forest fires, often ignited by illegal slash-and-burn practices. This method, as brutal as it sounds, involves cutting down vegetation and then setting it on fire. It's a quick and dirty way to clear land, but it has devastating consequences. These practices are not just a random act of environmental sabotage. They are largely driven by the demand for agricultural land, particularly for palm oil plantations. Palm oil is a versatile ingredient used in everything from food to cosmetics, making it a profitable crop. But the cost to our environment and health is immeasurable. Indonesia, a land blessed with lush forests and diverse wildlife, is at the heart of this crisis. The country is one of the world's largest producers of palm oil, and the pressure to meet the global demand is immense. But this pressure often translates into indiscriminate burning of forests, transforming them into smoky wastelands. These forest fires are not just a local issue. They create a toxic haze that spreads across the region, turning the skies of neighboring countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand into a grey, smoky canvas. The haze carries with it pollutants such as carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter, turning the air we breathe into a silent killer. This situation is a classic example of how our quest for economic growth can blind us to the environmental consequences. The palm oil industry provides jobs, boosts the economy, and meets a global demand. But in the process, it leaves behind a trail of smoke and destruction. The fires are not just destroying the forests, they are also releasing significant amounts of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. This is a vicious cycle. As our planet warms, it becomes more prone to fires, which in turn release more greenhouse gases, exacerbating the problem. As these fires rage on, they don't just consume the forests, they spew out a cocktail of harmful pollutants. The smoke behind the haze is a grim reminder of the cost of our actions and the urgent need for sustainable solutions. When forests burn, they release more than just smoke. They unleash a dangerous mix of pollutants into the atmosphere. Let's delve a little deeper into this. When forest fires ignite, they produce a cocktail of harmful pollutants, including carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter. These aren't just fancy chemical names, they're the culprits behind the thick, choking haze that blankets large swaths of Southeast Asia during fire seasons. Carbon monoxide, an odorless, colorless gas, is particularly insidious. In high concentrations, it can cause headaches, dizziness, and even death. It's a silent killer, lurking unseen in the smoky haze. Nitrogen oxides, on the other hand, are a bit more conspicuous. They're responsible for that yellowish-brown tint you sometimes see in smog-filled skies. But they're not just an eyesore. These gases can react with other substances to form harmful secondary pollutants like ground-level ozone, a key ingredient in smog, which can trigger a variety of health problems, from coughing and throat irritation to more serious conditions like asthma and other chronic respiratory diseases. Then there's particulate matter, tiny particles suspended in the air that can be inhaled deep into the lungs. These microscopic invaders can cause everything from minor irritations, like coughing and a runny nose, to serious health issues like heart attacks and respiratory diseases. This noxious brew of pollutants forms a thick, choking haze that can spread across the region, carried by winds and weather patterns. It's not just confined to the immediate vicinity of the fires. The haze can travel thousands of miles, affecting countries far beyond Indonesia's borders. Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, they've all experienced the effects of this transboundary pollution. It's like a malevolent ghost, slipping unseen across borders, affecting millions of people and countless ecosystems in its wake. This haze is more than an inconvenience. It's a health hazard, an environmental threat, and a disruptor of economies. It's a grim reminder of the far-reaching consequences of forest fires and why it's so crucial to curb these destructive practices. The haze that cloaks the region carries with it a heavy toll on health, biodiversity, and the economy. Let's delve into the impact of this menacing haze. For starters, it's a silent assassin, stealthily invading our respiratory systems. Millions of people suffer from respiratory problems, from persistent coughs and sore throats to more serious conditions like asthma and lung infections. But it's not just the lungs. Eyes too bear the brunt of the haze, with many experiencing irritation and redness. The haze is not a respecter of age either. Children, the elderly, and those with existing health conditions are particularly vulnerable. It's a silent epidemic, with the haze's tiny particles infiltrating our bodies and wreaking havoc on our health. But the effects of the haze extend beyond human health. It's also a ruthless destroyer of habitats. Imagine the lush, verdant homes of majestic orangutans and elusive Sumatran tigers being reduced to smoky wastelands. The fires that birth the haze are decimating these habitats and pushing these endangered species closer to the brink of extinction. And there's the climate change angle. With every forest fire, massive amounts of carbon dioxide, a key player in global warming, are released into the atmosphere. This not only exacerbates climate change, but also makes Indonesia one of the world's largest greenhouse gas emitters. The haze also has a stranglehold on the economy. It disrupts air travel, with reduced visibility leading to flight cancellations and delays. This in turn affects the tourism industry, a major contributor to the economies of Indonesia and its neighboring countries. Moreover, the haze affects daily life and economic activities. Reduced visibility can lead to accidents, hamper transportation, and affect outdoor work. Schools are often forced to close, disrupting education. And let's not forget the cost of healthcare and the loss of productivity due to haze-related illnesses. The haze doesn't respect borders. It's a regional problem that requires regional solutions. In the next scene, we will explore the steps being taken by Indonesia and other Southeast Asian countries to tackle this pressing issue. With haze pollution causing such widespread issues, what steps are being taken to clear the air? Let's delve into the proactive measures that are being taken at both national and regional levels to address this environmental crisis. The Indonesian government has taken a stance against illegal burning practices by strengthening regulations on land use. They have imposed strict penalties to deter individuals and companies from resorting to these harmful practices. Moreover, the government has made strides in improving fire detection and response systems. This means that they're better equipped to identify potential fire hotspots and react swiftly to extinguish them before they can cause significant damage. It's all about prevention and rapid response. But the battle against haze pollution isn't just a national endeavour. In fact, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, has come together to form a united front against this transboundary issue. They've developed agreements and action plans to enhance cooperation among member nations. This regional alliance is key to managing haze pollution that doesn't respect national boundaries. So what does this cooperation look like in practice? It includes sharing critical information about fire hotspots and weather conditions. It also involves providing mutual assistance during fire emergencies. Imagine a neighboring country sending firefighting aircraft to help control a blaze that's causing a haze crisis. That's the power of regional cooperation. Additionally, ASEAN promotes sustainable land management practices. This means encouraging alternatives to the slash-and-burn methods that have been so detrimental. It's all about finding ways to use the land that don't involve setting it ablaze. While these efforts are a step in the right direction, they are part of a larger environmental context that needs addressing. It's a complex puzzle, with each piece reliant on the others. But with each action taken, we're making progress towards a future where the air is clearer, the land is healthier, and the haze is a thing of the past. The haze issue is just one piece of the environmental puzzle in Indonesia. Diving deeper into the environmental challenges that Indonesia faces, we find deforestation at the forefront. With one of the highest rates globally, deforestation in Indonesia is primarily driven by logging, mining, and agricultural expansion. This rampant clearing of forests leads to a significant loss of biodiversity and contributes to climate change. Swimming offshore, we discover another critical issue: the degradation of Indonesia's coral reefs. Threatened by overfishing, destructive fishing practices, pollution, and climate change, the reef's decline impacts marine biodiversity and threatens the livelihoods of coastal communities who depend on these ecosystems. Back on land, rapid urbanization and industrial growth present a growing challenge in waste management. Plastic pollution in oceans and inadequate waste disposal facilities are just some of the pressing issues. These problems not only affect the environment, but also pose a significant health risk to the population. This brings us to water pollution. Industrial discharge, agricultural runoff, and improper sewage treatment have polluted Indonesia's water bodies. This contamination affects both freshwater and marine ecosystems and presents health risks to the population. Lastly, let's touch on land conversion. The transformation of forests and peatlands into agricultural land, especially for palm oil plantations, results in habitat loss, soil degradation, and increased greenhouse gas emissions. These issues are not standalone problems. They are interconnected, each one influencing and exacerbating the others. For instance, deforestation and land conversion for agriculture not only lead to habitat loss, but also contribute to the haze issue we discussed earlier. Similarly, water pollution and waste management issues can negatively impact coral reef health and biodiversity. In essence, the fight against haze pollution is not just about clearing the air, it's about addressing these interrelated environmental issues. It's about sustainable land and water management, protecting biodiversity, and ensuring the health and well-being of millions of people. The fight against haze pollution is a fight for the environment, a fight for health, and a fight for the future. As we've seen, haze pollution is a complex issue with far-reaching impacts. It's a story of interwoven threads where the actions in one sphere ripple out, affecting life in many others. Forest fires, often ignited by illegal slash-and-burn practices, are the primary drivers of haze pollution in Indonesia. This smoke and the pollutants it carries, like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter, don't respect borders. They spread across the region, affecting not only Indonesia, but also neighboring countries such as Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. The effects of this haze pollution are far-reaching and severe. They range from health issues for millions of people, such as respiratory problems and eye irritation, to the destruction of habitats for endangered species like orangutans and Sumatran tigers. The haze disrupts air travel, reduces visibility, and affects economic activities, including tourism. All the while, the fires contribute to climate change by releasing significant amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. But let's remember, this isn't a story without hope. Steps have been taken to address this issue. Indonesia has strengthened regulations on land use and enforced penalties for illegal burning. They have improved fire detection and response systems. Regionally, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations has developed agreements and action plans to manage transboundary haze pollution. These efforts include sharing information, providing mutual assistance during fire emergencies, and promoting sustainable land management practices. Yet it's crucial to remember that haze pollution is but one of many environmental issues that Indonesia faces. Deforestation, coral reef degradation, waste management, water pollution, and land conversion are all significant challenges that intersect with haze pollution. They are all part of a larger narrative of environmental degradation that requires comprehensive and integrated approaches. Understanding the interconnectedness of these issues is key. It's not just about putting out fires, but about addressing the root causes that lead to these fires in the first place. It's about changing practices and mindsets, making sustainability the norm rather than the exception. The path to a haze-free future lies in understanding these issues, taking collective action, and championing sustainable practices.